Hey guys, thanks you guys for clicking on my video. Today I'm going to show you how I made a French Bulldog Lamp for my wife's birthday. I'm going to start here in Simplify 3D where I downloaded the model from Thingiverse. So it's the French Bulldog model off of Thingiverse. It's actually a really popular model you can download. It's one of my wife's favorites. It's one of the first models I ever printed for her on my old Tico. It turned out like garbage on the Tico, but it was a Tico, and she loved it anyways. So, I wanted to make her a lamp. So with the same model, I'm gonna scale this to about 400% its original size. So it's a pretty large model, close to 18 inches or so. Probably around 16 inches from butt to tip of the ear. It's a pretty big model, especially for my my Creality CR10. Never printed this big, so it's gonna be something new for me and hopefully for you guys. Now, I need this model to be kind of light, so I'm gonna remove the I'm gonna generate supports on this so we can get the overhang on the chin, but I'm also gonna make the infill on this as low as possible. I think it was like a 2 or 3% that I made this infill. So it's going to be fairly hollow. The profile I'm using on my my Simplify 3D is the Uncle Jesse profile. You can download it from the CR10 Facebook page. So we're just going to slice the model now. And you can see all the support that's generated underneath the belly and underneath the chin, just to make sure this Bulldog can kind of hold itself up. Like I said, it is a beefy model. If I was doing it a lot smaller, I probably wouldn't have generated support on it, just because the overhangs aren't that drastic where I think it would need it. And I've printed this one in the past, like I said, at a very small scale on a really crappy machine without support, and it turned out okay. The machine was just garbage, but I have a lot of hope for the CR10, and I'm hoping that this lamp can really shine, especially with what the CR10 can do. Now, I am using just a regular off-the-shelf PLA for this, 1.75 millimeter that I got off of Amazon. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing special. It was $15. It's probably one of the cheapest PLAs you can buy. And it does the trick. I'm not particular about my PLA. I don't care where it comes from as long as it works. I don't mind spending $15 or $30. I would rather spend $15, especially since I know most of the models that I print are going to get refinished anyways. So definitely not picky when it comes to PLA. Just because it's definitely I mess with it more than anything. So it's not bread and butter for me. It's just a disposable commodity, I guess, for this. So I'm just running the virtual program as quickly as I can on the Simplify 3D profile, just so I can see what it looks like. And you can see the infill in there. It's really like wide. You see the big honeycomb patterns. So it's a fairly hollow print. So I'm going to export this onto my SD card. We're going to save it, and then we're going to get printing. So hopefully that'll come soon. Thanks. So I'm going to actually show you guys the first attempt at printing this model. I did this 3 times. So this is the first attempt. I'm not going to shy away from what I've done. You can see the spool is unloading there slowly. But keep an eye on the print head. I have this sped up pretty quickly. This was about, I would say, maybe 3 hours or so into the print. And you'll start to see little bits of plastic kind of gathering on the edges. And then everything kind of goes downhill from that. So pieces are starting to break off. It's not looking good. And it's garbage now. So what happened is my supports came off. I didn't have good adhesion, and I had to actually go and redo this. I had to go and reset the printer and run a bed leveling program just so I can get this done. It took me another 2 attempts. So this is the final attempt, and here you're going to actually see everything starting to come together. I do have this sped up. This is about, realistically, I'd say close to 30-hour print. So you're going to see it very, very quickly. Now, in between all this is happening, I actually went to the Goodwill, and I hate the Goodwill by you. And I went to the Goodwill, and I bought a lamp. Now, before you guys get all crazy, I bought the ugliest, most beat up looking lamp I could find, just because I thought it would be easier than trying to reconstruct all the internal mechanisms, all the wiring, all the switches, all that, without having to go to Home Depot and have this huge bill of material. I bought it off the shelf lamp from Goodwill. It was $7. I brought it home and I smashed the crap out of it. I broke it into little bits. I took out the center tube. I chopped up the base till it was very, very tiny. And I just kept the top switch part and the cage that held the lampshade skeleton. It came with a lampshade too, which was also extremely ugly. It was red. So I gutted that off the mech, not the mech, but the wireframe for the lampshade, and I basically turned what someone at one point thought was a really pretty lamp into a skeleton. It was just the bare basic stuff. No frills, no bells and whistles. It was just the mechs and everything that I needed to basically construct a lamp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread all that tubing, all the base part that's left over. I'm going to shove it inside of this French Bulldog hollow form, and I'm going to use that as the kind of internal structure, as you will, for this lamp that I'm building. Now you see, it was really quick, but I had to do a filament change toward the top of this because I ran out because of my previous attempts. It wasn't hard. I just grabbed a new piece of filament, got the old end piece of the old filament, kind of heated both ends up till they were melty, stuck them together, and then trimmed off the excess and then crossed my fingers. It worked out good. The adhesion was great. A weird color transition, I know, because that's just what I had. Like I said, I'm not particular about my colors. I'm not particular about my PLA, so that's just what I had on hand, and it works good.
But I'm pretty sure my wife can hear me. She's in the other room. You just saw the lamp getting printed. I'm going to take it off the print bed right now, and we're going to take a look at it together, see what it looks like. It was a lot more difficult than I wanted it to be. Some supports. I think it turned out pretty good. This is the biggest print I've done so far in this machine, so definitely excited and impressed about the quality and the way it turned out. It's going to need a little cleanup, but we'll do that tomorrow. Today, wanted to get it done. And there it is, all done. So happy, you have no idea. Alright, so tomorrow we'll see what this ends up looking like.
So I didn't actually wait till tomorrow to start doing and processing this. Right here, I'm actually mixing 2-part epoxy. I bought it at Home Depot. It was about $15. 2-part A and B, equal amounts. Mix them together, brush them on. Smooth On makes a product that smooths PLA in the same fashion, and it's pretty much epoxy, 2-part epoxy. So I'm not going to spend the $25, $30 that they want. I'm just going to use the ones that I have. So after it was dried the next morning, I took it outside and I started finishing it. I was, sanding it, making it as smooth as possible, making it as pretty as possible, just what I could see, kind of roughing up the epoxy. Here you can see I'm pouring plaster of Paris in the butt just to add some weight to it, just because it has no weight. It needed something. So the black paint that you see me throwing on is an automotive primer. It builds really well, and it sands really well. So that process took a couple hours to sand and process and make it look pretty. So the lampshade, you can. I don't have a print that I'm going to show in this video, but yeah, that's me sewing it. I sewed a lampshade. It's removable. I made it removable. And during this time, the primer is drying, and everything's kind of working its way to harden. I do kind of not include a step in between the primer and the final paint job, and that's the final sanding, just because it takes forever. I start with a 280 or 220, 240 grit. Move my way up to 400, and just kind of just rough up the surface. I used an enamel spray paint because I wanted it to look like porcelain, and that's what it ended up looking like. It looked like porcelain. So it's a white enamel spray paint that I'm using. It's a boring process. You want to look at people sanding primer and putting on paint. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that show that. It would have been boring on this end. But I just want to show you guys that I do sew. And yeah, I sewed the lampshade all by myself. So here's the semi-finished product. It's the Bulldog. And you can see kind of that glossy finish. I'm kind of double timing. I'm double utilizing myself here. I'm doing a program update on my computer, and I'm trying to fish all the electronics through on the Bulldog. In some of the shots, you can see what was left over of the base of the old lamp, kind of cut up and jammed in there. It definitely was a process, angle grinders and all that. So getting the electronics up there wasn't too hard. It took some time jamming the electronics and the wires and all that. And yeah, it was a satisfying process. Just putting it all together took, it took much longer in this video just because I was doing two things than it should have. But that audible click you get when it gets all put together and all finalized, it's so satisfying. It's like one of the best feelings in the world. All this hard work that you did, culminating in something that hopefully someone will appreciate. The bottom is open, as you can see. I actually ended up gluing some foam sheets underneath to add kind of a padding to it. It worked out really well, and it looks like something you would buy at the store. Like, realistically, my wife did end up getting this on her birthday. I finished it at the last minute, and she loves it. She loves it to death. It's one of her favorite things ever now. The whole process from
and this is the final result, guys.
It took about 3 days.
As you can see, it's a very shiny enamel. I think it turned out really, really well. There's a few things I probably would change and redo if I had time. A couple inconsistencies that I didn't quite get to. But overall, I love it. I think it turned out spectacular. And she loves it too. And it has some good weight. I added about a cup of plaster to give it some weight. So it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Just using a regular LED light bulb in there. And that lampshade that I kind of briefly showed, that you guys can see, or can't see from this shot in this angle, is right up here. I'll show it to you. Yeah. Yeah. I got the material at Joann's Fabrics. I sewed it myself. I added the what is it? The stretch material? What is that? Someone will correct me in the comments, I'm sure of it. But it's removable. It's 100% removable. It's swappable, so I kept the pattern. I can make more of them. Different whatever I want to do with it. And she can wash it and keep it clean and beautiful forever. And yeah. It's definitely a wonderful addition to our decor. And, our little family. And she looks just like Tabitha. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys love it as much as I love it. And as much as my wife loves it. And, we'll talk next time. So, before you take off and before you say goodbye, why don't you hit like and subscribe, Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Peace out.